the fact that I'm thinking about football a little bit like Sean Perry kind of tilts me and makes me think like maybe I'm an idiot too. I'm going to be true to the brand. I mean, this line makes no sense to me. I understand the Chiefs looked good. I understand this is a desperation spot for Mahomes. So you're basically telling me these two teams on neutral are dead even, and I'm just not buying that.
So many bizarre things had to happen for you to lose this game that as soon as I saw the ticker come across, I'm like, I need to check in on my boy and make sure that he's not driving to a bridge at this point.
The fact that you're doing this pod from the Vancouver Public Library just shows the dedication you have for our fans. We need a Patreon. We need a Patreon
right just for Adam's internet service.
Gamble up, take the risk, roll the dice. Strategy and guts gonna change your life. Poker chips and parlays, the games are set. Adam and ODB, you ain't seen nothing yet.
All right, everybody. Gamble Up episode 9 for week 6 is off and running. And apologies in advance for last week. Oh, by the way, I'm your host, Hey Schwartz, alongside Roscoe P. Coltrane and David ODB Baker.
I always dreamed you'd be my library buddy.
That reference will make sense in a second. Apologies for last week. I apparently am stuck in 1987. I couldn't get my internet figured out. It's a long and involved story. I'm at a undisclosed location to record this episode, also known as the Vancouver Public Library, which Ross has made 3 references to now. Very funny, love it. And we're gonna jump dumb Adam aside, old Adam aside, with internet issues. We're gonna jump right into it. David, I want to talk to you about the Arizona Cardinals, and as I kind of saw the ticker come across on Sunday, I had read your tweets that you were all in. Let's just read one of them. Your tweet before the game was, "This will probably be the largest Survivor exposure I have all year. Can't say I think it's a slam dunk or even love it, but basically all in on the Cardinals. Grandissimo and 75% of the main pool passed on Cards versus Saints and Panthers for this game." They spoiler alert, the Cardinals did not win the football game after being up late. And we'll talk about this game because it's absolutely the worst played, coached football team that game that I've seen in quite a long time. So many bizarre things had to happen for you to lose this game that as soon as I saw the ticker come across, I'm like, I need to check in on my boy and make sure that he's not driving to a bridge at this point. We had talked all these weeks about Survivor and the Grandissimo, the first 100K buy-in. Obviously would have been great for you to be the first winner of that and bank it for all the money that it's going to end up being. But it is not to be. You are out of the Grandissimo and a bunch of your entries for the regular Survivor. So without any further ado, let's kind of jump into why you took this game, and then we'll talk about the game itself.
Well, welcome back, Adam. Nice to have you with us with internet and all.
Yeah.
If we would have talked last week, we would have got some things right, some things wrong, but it's okay. I appreciate everybody checking in on us and, got a lot of feedback asking why we weren't there and they missed the show and all that. And that's great because, we are the beginning phases of this podcast. And obviously, we record this every week and we plan it and we talk about it in preparation. And, you don't really know who's out there listening and if people are actually, listening, and are we just kind of wasting our time and talking to hear ourselves talk or not, and getting a lot of feedback that they missed us and stuff. I just want to thank everybody for that. It was a very tough week for me, for Survivor. And, if you would have told me that this game had some of the worst coaching and worst playing and just the worst decision-making you could ever see in I would say football game. I don't even want to say NFL football game because even high school level, like some of the shit that happened in this game, I would have said great. I mean, Brian Callahan's on the other side. Rookie quarterback Cam Ward, disgruntled Calvin Ridley. I would have been thrilled. I've been like, all right, great. My team won. There are many things we can talk about with this game. We'll talk about the actual football part of it in a minute, but let's just start with the Survivor aspect. Okay, so there's two different contests. The Survivor main contest, which started with about 18,000 people. You're going to have to get through 18 regular season weeks, 2 holiday weeks to reach the grand prize, which is probably going to be split. So it
Sorry,
has
David, I just want to interrupt you real quick. When we point out the holiday weeks, maybe just quickly, let's explain to people that there are many games early in that week. Thanksgiving, we have games on Thursday. So what the Survivor contests do is they divide those weeks into 2 weeks to make sure that
so you basically have to pick 20 weeks, but you have to save certain teams for Thanksgiving week and Christmas week. Now, that's the same thing with the Grandissimo Survivor as well, but you only started with 69 people. So there's a real likelihood that it doesn't make the holiday weeks. And if it does, it might make Thanksgiving, but probably not Christmas. And when it does make Thanksgiving, you'll be down to a few teams left and you could, chop, hedge, do some different things. Whereas in the main pool with 18,000 people, you're going to have to get through 20 weeks, 18 regular and 2 holiday. So little different strategy for both, I think. For the main pool, I need to play it like I have to pick 20 teams throughout the year and I'm going to have to win 20 teams. So when you're looking at teams to choose, you're going to have to take a couple teams that you're not really comfortable with. You can't win by just taking the Bills, Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, every week. There's just not 20 of those teams in the league. The Arizona Cardinals probably going to be around a 500 team. You're going to have to take some 500 teams. I mean, there aren't going to be 20 teams that finish with a positive record. So they only had a few games throughout the year that they were going to be significant favorites, and 2 of them were at home. I chose to choose one of those games for my Arizona spots. And this was the one that I chose, week 5. No real regrets with that one. The ownership came in at 25%, which was fine. It's not that bad. You really want to try to save teams in that one because you just need some options. You need all your holiday teams. You need to have a lot of things go on. You have to get through 20 weeks. The Grandissimo is a little bit different. So we started with 68 people. We were down to 55 people. And there hadn't been any big upsets yet. So it was kind of looking like it might make Thanksgiving now because, there just weren't upsets happening. People weren't busting. Well, all that changed on Thursday night. I made a conscious decision not to play the Rams in Survivor, even though I knew they were going to be somewhat popular. But I felt like they were probably going to win. But division game versus a coach that knows them. I just decided I didn't really want to be on that spot. And I felt like they'd be pretty high owned. So I'm pretty good at projecting what people are going to do. And I projected 15 people would be on the Rams. And that's exactly what it came in. So if they would have won, there would have been 55 people left with 15 already advancing. And I think the Cardinals were just a clear play for me in that situation. Just because it's probably only going to be like 30% of the pool is going to be on the Cardinals. And I might need to get through, a lot more weeks. When the Rams lost, I had already told Mark, my partner, and another partner that I had that I really didn't think we would probably have to go down to as low as Arizona to win this contest. I didn't think it would probably make 13 weeks, which is Thanksgiving week. And if it did, it would probably be pretty small and we could find some hedges or whatever. So I really kind of wanted to try to maybe take advantage of everybody else playing Arizona and maybe make a huge leap on the field if Arizona gets upset. So that was my plan going in. And then I just kind of got blinded by the fact that the Titans are really, really bad. And maybe we just go ahead and just take it in this spot. I also, the spot I really wanted to go to was Detroit. I already used Baltimore for Thanksgiving, so I kind of really wanted to keep Detroit just in case something happens to Jalen Hurts or something like that and the Eagles aren't a strong favorite. I wanted to have another home team that would be favored. So I was kind of thinking that, but I don't know. Part of me just wanted to just go ahead and play the Lions and fade the Cardinals. And I started to really think about it. And I was like, I think this is a real sound strategy, but I think this pool's kind of sharp enough where I think people are going to just try to use Detroit. I thought there was a chance that maybe a few of them came off the Cardinals, but I thought more than likely most of them came off the Colts. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Detroit ended up being 10 people owned. Cardinals 20, and the Colts 5. So I kind of mucked the Lions from the standpoint that still 10 people were going to be on them. But I really should have considered the Colts a little bit more. But more importantly, I should have just said I really didn't want to be on the chalk Arizona Cardinals. As bad as the Titans are, we know this team is stupid. We know Kyler Murray likes to play with his food. We know they just have a propensity to do dumb shit. So I don't know. I blame myself. The tweet that I sent out afterwards was I was really upset with the Cardinals losing this game, but I was more upset with myself. I know the Cardinals were not the play in that spot. And I will tell you next year, I will have a grandissimo entry, maybe 2. I promise you, if you want somebody to be more conservative and be kind of afraid to go out and things, then don't invest in me, because I think I played the grandissimo too conservatively, to be honest. I was on the chalk too much, and yeah, it worked for the first 4 weeks, but you just never get anywhere in these contests. Yeah, I went 4-0 and I got to week 5, but so did 55 other people. And the only way that I was ever going to make any ground in this thing was to pick some lower owned teams. And I'm just not really happy with the decision that I made to play Arizona. That being said, let's move on to the game itself.
Well, I just want to quickly ask you, because you tweeted out a screenshot of a discussion with your other partner. I'm assuming it wasn't Mark, but who said that if the Rams lose, there's less reason to take marginal teams in spots, which I thought was an interesting take, because that means there's going to be less weeks given the size of the grandissimo. Just maybe your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and so that was kind of my thought process was, I told Mark, I'm like, if the Rams win, and I told this other guy who was a partner, I said, we're just going to take the Cardinals, just because it really seemed like there was a reasonable chance we get to Thanksgiving. When the Rams lost, like I said, there's only going to be 40 people left. We really don't have to get down to Arizona. We've already used Seattle, who's a marginal team. We used Denver, who, although I think they're really good, they're still like not in, probably, they're top 10, maybe top 12, but they're not the top 5 or 6 team in the league. I already knew that we had spots on the calendar for the Patriots and a couple other marginal teams. I really didn't have to go down to the Cardinals. So I should have just taken Detroit. Detroit was going to be lower owned. They were a higher likelihood to win. And I didn't need to use the Cardinals there. And, somebody tweeted back and they were like, wow, that's a really good point. I didn't think of it. And the fact that I thought about it and other people didn't, and I didn't act on it, that's what pisses me off the most about myself, to be honest, because I knew the game theory correct play was to not play the Cardinals. But I just kind of sold myself all week that the Cardinals were just going to beat the Titans. Also, I think, I'll be honest, the fact that the Cardinals had a 27-6 or 25-27-3 lead on the Panthers, and they almost blew it in week 2, led me to believe that they wouldn't do stupid shit again. Because it just, when people do dumb things, they realize, like, wait a second, they kind of learn from their mistakes, right? And the Panthers had the ball with a chance to win that football game when they had zero chance to win the game. With, they had like probably a 2% chance, midway through the second half. And I was like, now they know, like, we just got to put teams away. So, I mean, shame on me, I guess, for just thinking that these coaches ever learn, but they just don't. These coaches just continue to do the same stupid stuff week after week after week. And that's the part that, like, just kind of ticks me off the most, to be honest.
It's amazing. Like, so this game, and let's get into the game a little bit here, is a mishmash of players doing insanely stupid stuff and coaches making horrible decisions. All of these things had to go one way for you to lose this game. And so, the Cardinals are rolling through this game pretty easily. It's at, what are they, 21-6 with, I think there's 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Cardinals are driving. I think they're on the 20 or the 15-yard line of Tennessee, and there's a snap, and it hits quarterback in the face. It's Kyler Murray right in the face. It's strange because he's looking right at the ball almost when he gets snapped. So there's another score there, at least a field goal to go up, 3 touchdowns or more there. So that's got to go wrong. It's just incredibly stupid thing. And then he doesn't even react.
It's funny because at that point I was like,
yeah,
that was a weird play. And I kind of like, I'm watching it with other people, and I'm watching it with Mark, and Mark saw me, and we'll talk about this later maybe, but the Ryder Cup was very similar to this football game.
Yeah, that's right.
I had Europe, and I started panicking with like an hour and a half left in the thing. I could just feel the momentum, and the people I was watching the Ryder Cup with were like, "You're being ridiculous. Like, stop being so negative." I'm like, "I'm telling you, I'm not being negative. Like, this is going." And the same kind of feeling just hovered over me when that snap bounced off his face. But I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna like get too over my skis here. We were heavily invested in the Seahawks game, and we were watching that one on the main screen, and the Cardinals were on the, an outer screen. But, but then, we'll get to the next play, which is kind of where that's when I just kind of was like, oh shit,
this is not good. Yeah. So Tennessee gets the ball back, doesn't go anywhere. They give the ball back to the Cardinals, who, from their own side of deep in their own ends, run a play. I think it's a 3rd and 1 play, which makes it even stranger. Like, you think you load the box on 3rd and 1, but Americato runs right through the line untouched. There's like a hole that you and I could probably run through. And he runs down the field, whatever. I think he was 80 yards or something like that. Like, he's just gone. And he's gone, and he, at the 10-yard line, he just starts trotting, doesn't look back to see if there's somebody behind him. He starts to, slow down and puts the ball out in his hand at the 1-yard line, and he's letting the ball go as he crosses the line. And they fumble through the end zone, and they don't get the score. So that's in the 4th quarter. That's going to be 28-6 for you at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I started to feel it. And I mean, obviously anybody listening to this podcast has seen that play, and we're now 3 days removed or 4 days removed whenever you listen to this podcast. It's been talked about ad nauseum, and the play's stupid. Obviously, there is no justification for not just holding the ball, running through the end zone, and flicking it to the officials when it's done. Look, I want him to be held responsible. It's a bonehead play. We've seen it year after year, team after team. I just I give him a little more grace than some people are. They're like, they should cut this guy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he should be held up to, this is just terrible. Like, every single ball carrier, he's not a defensive player. Like, he knows how to score touchdowns. Like, this should just be ingrained in offensive players' heads. But, he ran 70 yards and he got to the end, and maybe he thought he was 5 yards deep in the end zone and whatever. Like, it was a horrible play, and it was a terrible play. And look, I mean, there's no justification for it, but I'm not going to go so far as to just be like, this guy's like my most hated player and he was just awful. Look, they had a 15-point lead, and they were approaching the 4th quarter, or in the 4th quarter when this happened. And Tennessee, who has scored 6 points the whole game, has the ball backed up at their own 20-yard line, and they're still down 15 points. Like, you need a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, then a touchdown, go for 2, or just kick the extra point to tie it, just to go to overtime. We're at home. Like, I felt like the Cardinals could still move the ball and whatever. So, I mean, blaming this loss on him, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, it's just, you're just looking for the easy way out. And, that's kind of just what pissing me off, like, today on the internet is like Jonathan Gannon is like yelling at this dude and like just all the stuff, the Cardinals fining him. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, there's a ton of plays in a football game, and this game wasn't even close. It shouldn't have even been close. And there are a lot more things that cost them the game than this one play. So I'm not blaming him entirely for this loss.
Well, I think in real terms, if he scores there. So, I mean, I think there's a whole bunch of people to blame. And I think he's one of them, because in real terms, if he scores here, the game's over, essentially. Their other one is Gannon, and we'll talk about why, coming up here as well. But and then so Tennessee gets the ball back. They march down the field and they get intercepted at the 10-yard line, something like that. And Cardinals, I can't remember who the DB was, picks it off and then fumbles it. The other player fumbles it like out towards away from the end zone. And then one of his teammates boots it into their end zone, and one of the Titans falls on it for a touchdown. And you're just like,
yeah, I mean, the crazy thing about this game was you literally have three of the dumbest plays that you could ever see in a football game all happened to the same team in the same half. And they're probably going to be three of the dumbest plays at the end of the year. I mean, when you're putting a compilation together of like stupid plays in the NFL, like the immediate ones that come to mind, Mark Sanchez and the butt fumble, Daniel Jones running down the field, has his touchdown and trips over the 10-yard line. The Herm Edwards, like they go to kneel down or not kneel down and he picks it up. Like,
yeah,
it's like three of those plays all happened in the second half for Arizona. And it wasn't even like some stupid Hail Mary or whatever. Like those things happen, like the Jaden Daniels play last year and all that. Like Hail Marys happen. Like these plays are like 1 in a million plays that just
once a season, not 3 in a game.
Yeah. So
that's
whatever.
crazy. So, and even this part is the stuff that tilts me. Is anybody who's listened to me talk about the NFL knows the coaching decisions, when to punt, when to go for two, and what plays to call in certain spots, and how to use your timeouts. These are all very easy, should be basic things for head coaches to do. And we've said it before, there's a million very difficult things that are way above my pay grade to understand, but these things are so easy to get, and they're so based in logic. And here we go. We just talked about the play. So they fall on the ball in the end zone. They now go from down 21-6 to down 21-12 in the fourth quarter. What do? They decide to kick one instead of go for two to get within a score. And I'm just, I don't understand why there isn't somebody with basic game theory standing on the sidelines talking to these guys in these situations. It's just beyond me. They're worth billions of dollars, and they can't employ a guy for $50,000 to tell them when to do this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so what ends up happening here is Callahan's like, okay, we're down 15. We scored the touchdown. So now we can either go for two and make it a 7-point game if we make it. But if we miss, we're going to be down 9. He takes the kind of cowardly way out and it's like, okay, I'm just going to kick the extra point and then it'll be 8-point game and we'll be within 1 score. Now I understand, like they used to say, like, you just don't want to stop momentum. And, if there's 2 scores down, obviously, like you're way more likely to make the PAT than you are the 2-point conversion. So you just want to keep momentum, keep your team within 2. But what it does is your team's 0-4 and they're looking for a spark. So if you go for 2, you cut it to 7. You cut it to 7, and at least you have the opportunity later on to go for 2 and try to win the football game if you're the Titans.
Well, that's the thing. But if you're going to be down 8 points, you want to know earlier when you're down 8 points. Like you want to know, you want to have as much time as left as possible to know what's in front of you.
Lucky for me, they went for 1, which is great, because now I knew that we're going to only be down 8. I know we're going to overtime. Worst case scenario, bad beat, and then he misses the stupid extra point. So I'm like, great. I mean, I was just nervous for nothing. Like that. Like this is fine.
Amazing.
But then, obviously all the other nonsense ensues.
Well, so let's talk about the nonsense again. Coaching, right? So Arizona gets the ball back. They run into a 3rd and 8 they snap the ball at 2 minutes and 13 seconds left in the game.
Well, at this point, they're only up 2.
Right.
So
they're up 2. Sorry, I should have said that. So they're up 2. Yeah. They have the ball and they're running it. They're trying to obviously burn off the clock. There's 2 minutes. They snap the ball, 2 minutes and 13 seconds left, and they run a dive into the line basically. When if they get a first down here, they can pretty much run the game out, because I think they have 1 timeout. I think Tennessee has 1 timeout left. So they run a dive that basically is stopped for no gain, and they stopped at 2 minutes and 7 seconds left. So we've got the 2-minute warning coming up, right? And Gannon calls a timeout in that spot when it only saves him 7 seconds because it's the tackle happens at 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Now I get that's an extra play, whatever, but they need that timeout to try and kick the field goal to go down the other side, and they waste it for 7 seconds here. I just think it was a terrible decision.
Well, what ended up happening was the Arizona had the ball. They had to get they basically had to get a first down to win the football game, and they have 2 running backs that are third and fourth string running backs on their football team, Michael Carter and Amari DiMercato. They need a first down. They run Michael Carter into the line for no gain for 1 yard. Then they run him again into the line for 1 yard. And then it's 3rd and 8 with, like you said, 2:13 left. And what do? The first time we see DiMercato since he drops the football walking into the end zone, they run him up to the middle on 3rd and 8. And this is a point where you're just basically telling me as a coach, you either A, have zero confidence in your quarterback, or B, you just don't give a fuck, because there is absolutely no reason to run the football into the line. You're up 2 points and there's 2 minutes left. Every team is going to be a favorite to get a field goal in that spot if you don't get it. And you are so unlikely to pick up the first down on 3rd and 8. We saw it with Drake May later against Buffalo. There was 50 seconds left. They rolled him out, gave him a run pass option, told him don't put the ball in harm's way. It wasn't there, and he went down and kept the clock moving. You can run. Kyler Murray is very good at rolling out and making decisions. You have the best tight end in the game probably in Trey McBride, who's a big body guy who's going to catch the ball if it's close. He's going to make sure it doesn't get picked off. There's absolutely no reason not to run a run pass option with Kyler Murray. You basically just gave the ball back to the Titans. There was no chance that happens. And then obviously what happens is, when you have 4 downs and there's no consequences for turning the ball over, like, you're just always going to go down and score the field goal. And that's just what ended up happening. The Titans go down, they kick the field goal, and they win the football game. And I'm out of Survivor. And that's, whatever. It is what it is. But bad coaching is really what ticks me off. And Drew Petzig, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, that's where my disdain is. Like DiMercato, yeah, it was a dumb mistake. But you know what? He's running at 20 miles an hour, making split-second decision, which is obviously a bonehead decision. Drew Petzig has had a whole career to figure out what to do when it's 3rd and 8 and you need a first down to win the football game. And he spent his entire life planning for this one moment, and he decided, let me take my 4th-string quarterback and cram it up the guard's ass. Like, it's just never going to work. Like, that's just what pisses me off. Like, that's it. Like, get Drew Petzig out of there, and if he's not the one who made the play call, fire Gannon, fire all of them. This to me is reckless, just use of resources. Like, you cannot have $1 billion organization and send your 4th-string running back up the guard's butt on 3rd and 8 with 2 minutes and 13 seconds left. It's just recklessness. It's stupid. And these guys need to be held accountable. And DiMercato is just the easy scapegoat for these guys. And they're the real problem. Like, the Cardinals scored 0 points from 8 minutes left in the second quarter against the Tennessee Titans. Look, I think that, like, I understand time management things. I understand some play calling. I could call plays and score some points with 38 minutes left against the Titans at home with Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison, and Trey McBride as on my team. They just went into a turtle and just was like, that's it. And that's just what pisses me off. So that's kind of my rant on the whole Cardinals thing. And, we probably spent a little bit too much time on this game, but whatever. It was a big part of my week, and I needed a place to vent. And part of the reason we started this podcast was because I needed a spot to vent, and that's kind of it. So this is my chance to vent, and those are the people I hold responsible. Obviously, Kyler Murray taking a snap up off the face mask, DiMercato foam, all these things happen. Those things are like real-time plays, like split-second decisions. The coaching that you have an entire career to formulate a plan, that's what makes me mad. That's where I draw the line between an athletic, just lapse in judgment and just pure, total incompetence.
So fireable offense for any of these guys?
Petzing's gone. If he's the play caller, I mean, Gannon needs to be fired by the owners if he's in charge, or Petzing needs to go for the play calls. Like, not scoring versus the Tennessee Titans. I mean, they completely went into a shell. Harrison was having a great game. Kyler was playing well, and they put up 0 points. Like, they didn't even try to throw the ball. I mean, I understand if you have James Conner or Trey Benson, like fine, but you have Michael Carter and Amari DiMarcado, 2 practice squad running backs, and you spend 38 minutes shoving them right up the guard's butt. Like, it just makes 0 sense.
Yeah. Okay. Like you said, we spent a bunch of time on that game, and that's fine. We got it off our chests. Let's move on to some of the other happenings of the week. Oh, first off, you should have known when Sean Perry was all in and was bragging online that he's all in on the Cardinals.
Well, the thing about one, A, I don't follow him. And B, Survivor entries have to go in, at a certain time, and then he tweets it. If I would have seen his tweet, I immediately sent to Mark when it came across my For You feed that Sean Perry he cut off his left nut if they lost. I sent to Mark, I said, we're in trouble. And he said, no, it's too early in the season. We'll be all right. And I was like, I don't know about that. But I mean, if I could have gone in and changed at that moment, like, for sure. But I mean, obviously he's one of the biggest tools on Twitter and in the gambling space, period. So, yeah, I mean, I knew we were dead at that point. It's almost like there's a sim, like the sim is out there, and it's like we already know like the results of these things are going to happen, and some things are too strong to fight the sim. And him being on your side, I mean, sadly enough, like my bad start to the NFL year has corresponded well with his bad start. I remember week 1, like I had a lot of his games that he had, and he has this Survivor. And the fact that I'm thinking about football a little bit like Sean Perry kind of tilts me and makes me think like maybe I'm an idiot too. So yeah, hopefully I can differentiate myself in the future from his stuff, because we all know that he's not, very smart in this.
So speaking of which, since you don't follow him, you won't know that he did this. He actually sent out or made up a video of him reacting after the fact to all the individual plays in this game, pretending that he was doing it in real time. It was like the single dumbest thing I've ever seen, and I can't believe he's not embarrassed.
I've seen some tweets talking about that, but I haven't actually gone in. I see his stuff when I'm on For You, but I've made a conscious effort not to follow him, which I probably should, just for the pure comedy of it all. But I just don't want my algorithm like showing me Sean Perry's stuff constantly.
It's a good idea. All right. I want to talk about the Ravens because they got destroyed at home by the Texans 44-10. They are now 1-4. And maybe we might talk about this later. They're 1-4 and they're still even money they're the favorite to win that division, which
it's crazy, right? I was looking at that last night and this morning. They're even money to win the division. And there's still some places that are a little longer, but on Circa, they're currently the 6th favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Wow. They can't stop a college team right now. Their defense
they're 1-4 and they're 8-point underdogs at home this week. So they're like a 4-1, 5-1 favorite to be 1-5, and they're the 6th favorite. If that doesn't tell you how good the market thinks Lamar Jackson is, then nothing will. Like, that just tells you the market just respects the hell out of this guy. And they're so afraid of people piling on the Ravens that they're like, you know what? We'll take a little bit worse price on some other things, because all these things kind of are supposed to move in, conjunction, where one team goes up, the other one goes down, and one team moves down, the other team moves up. So if they move the Ravens too big of underdogs, then they're going to, they're actually
going to get a ton of money. Yeah.
They're getting they're getting shorter odds on the other teams, and they're afraid they're going to take too much action on the Ravens. And so I literally almost tweeted out yesterday that this is just insane that they're at this point. And then I went and I looked at their schedule, and after this week with the Rams, I mean, I may invest in the Ravens. I liked them at the beginning of the season, and man, their schedule is so soft. They still have 2 left versus the Bengals, 2 left versus the Steelers, 1 left versus the Browns. And then everybody they play is, they're going to be favored in every single game they play until week 17. They play at Green Bay. That is the only game they're not going to be favored at, I think, assuming Lamar Jackson.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. Are the Pittsburgh games before Lamar comes back? Because will
Well,
they be favored against Pittsburgh?
the the Ravens have a bye after this week. So I think the whole plan is keep him out this week, keep him out the bye, and then he comes back. So they're 1-5. If they can get to that Green Bay game with 6 losses, being, basically they run the table except one game. They play New England on week 16, but that game's at home.
They got to win 10 games, right? They got to win 10 games to get to the
playoffs. They have to win 10. They might only have to win 9 because if they beat the Steelers both times, they're going to hold the tiebreaker over the Steelers. That's 3 losses for the Steelers. I mean, you're essentially, by betting the Ravens to either win the division or put some other future on them, you're basically just parlaying them sweeping the Steelers. Because I think that's just what's necessary. If they split with the Steelers, they're probably in too big of a hole because they're probably not going to, win tiebreakers and things like that. Although they might, because if the Steelers, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Steelers lose to a team like the Browns or even the Bengals. Like, if Flacco is at all, brings any semblance of a reasonable offense to the Bengals team. So I as much as I plan on making a case against the Ravens, I think there is kind of a bull scenario out there. And I'm hoping that maybe after the Rams game, hopefully they get blown out by the Rams. You might be able to find 25, 30-1 maybe on the Ravens at that point to win the Super Bowl. And now we're only basically looking that's basically a money line parlay on both Pittsburgh games. And then, some nonsense games against
New England, to your point, New England will be a big game.
Yeah, New England will be a big game, but even if that's the one they lose, that's 6 losses, and then Green Bay would be 7. But they would obviously, if they've run the table or only lost 1 game coming up to New England, I would guess they'd be a touchdown favorite at home with Lamar, with Kyle Hamilton back.
Yeah.
Assuming Derrick Henry's healthy. Obviously, though, you're dealing with a very combustible team in the fact that they have so many injuries right now. They really just can't afford A, any more injuries, and B, any repeat injuries. I'm kind of assuming that some of these guys on defense are going to come back, even though some of them I know are out for the season. But I might take a hard look after next week and see what the prognosis is for some of these defensive guys, especially if the Steelers.
Jalen Warren's injured.
Yeah, if the Steelers don't look that great, like. Now, we kind of get to a point where we might be getting like prices that are too good to be true. Okay. But if you don't believe in this Ravens team, I understand. I mean, they're going to be 1-5 and having basically gotten blown out the last 3 weeks, assuming they get blown out this week by the Rams, versus the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Rams. And also, losing these Texans and Rams games, those are 2 home games. So, that just means that there's more games on the road that they have to win. So I can definitely see if you think that this is a mirage and you just want to pile on the Steelers, like I get it. Like it makes a lot of sense, but I think there is a bull case out there for the Ravens.
All right, let's talk about the Chiefs. They get a nice win in Week 4 against those Ravens, but then they lose to the juggernaut that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm claiming them now. They're my Jaguars. They beat the Chiefs on Monday night. 2-3 now. In the next 5 weeks, they have games against Detroit, Buffalo, and Denver in the next 5 weeks. They're 2-3. Do they win any of those games? I don't know. It looks like they're in a tough spot.
Well, I mean, I've buried the Chiefs so many times.
But then they beat the Ravens, and we're all like, what the heck?
Yeah. But, I mean, that Ravens game is looking a lot less impressive. The New York Giants game is not very impressive. But, I want to be, true to myself as being the Chiefs hater amongst all Chiefs haters, and stay with that. But look, they had a lot of good moments in that Ravens game, and they looked pretty good last night. I mean, the Mahomes interception for a touchdown, that was kind of a seminal moment in the game where, I mean, it completely flipped. That's probably one of the largest win percentage flips you can have, in a spot as you're about to take it in, basically salt the game away, and then you give it up. But on the flip side, Trevor Lawrence, fumbles the ball at the 1-inch line too. That could have been a touchdown. So, I mean, that was just a well-played football game. I thought both teams kind of played okay. The funny thing about the Jags is and I've been a big Liam Cohen supporter on the pod, on different shows that I do. I think he's a good coach. I think he's going to be a really good coach. I think he's a brilliant mind in football. Um, the Jags got away with some really bad play and coaching. Trev looked lost sometimes. He takes a delay a game when they're trying to score from the 10-yard line or the 13-yard line or something with like 50 seconds left. He can throw the ball away, and instead he just basically gets tackled inbounds on a rollout. They lose almost a minute. And I understand like time wasn't necessarily their biggest enemy, but it's nice to like have a little more control of being able to run the football and pass the football and do things you want. I felt like they really got away with some bad things that we're not talking about today because they pulled it out. But I know this conversation is more about the Chiefs. I don't want to bury them. I thought Mahomes looked pretty good. I think that Worthy's looking pretty good. They're about to get Rashee Rice back in another week. That being said, they go up against the Lions this week, and I'm sure we'll get to that in the preview. But this is a spot that I don't really love the Chiefs spot here. And if they lose this game, they're 2-4. And yeah, I mean, they basically have to win either the Denver or Buffalo game, and the Denver game's in Denver. And I would guess right now the Denver be favored in that football game, or, it'd be at least a pick 'em. So there's a lot of problems with the Chiefs now.
The game-winning touchdown by Trevor Lawrence was the most yakety sax hilarious thing I've ever seen on a football field. It was like a baby deer trying to score a touchdown
with nice hair. Yeah,
it really was. Like, I mean, that's just what's so great about football, man. It's as much as we criticize all this stuff, just being able to just we have the whole season, all our money, billions of dollars, and this guy trips, the guard steps on his foot and he trips and he's laying there in the backfield, and then he just finds a way to pick himself up like a little toddler and just kind of like stumble his way into the end zone, and all of a sudden the Jags are the greatest and the Chiefs are the worst. It's great. I mean, and that's just what's so fun, but also maddening about this sport is, your priors, your takes are just either confirmed or denied. You're laughed at or applauded based on such complete randomness. I mean, like, what if just the defensive lineman is just like gets by the guard there and he touches him on the helmet and then he's down and the clock's ticking and they're panicking, and I don't even think they're a favorite to score there probably if he doesn't get, if he gets tapped there. They called pass interference on 4th down. It was clearly pass interference, but they don't always call that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's just what we love, but I love it. The Chiefs on the bad end of their 0-3 and games decided by less than a touchdown this year, which finally, for the love of God, they're running like at par at least. Last year I think they were 11-0 or something in games decided by 7 or less. So
I messaged the group earlier in that game because in the first quarter he fumbles on the goal line and then the Chiefs return it for a touchdown in like 3 plays in the next possession. So they looked completely dead. It was a very stupid game.
Yeah. Everything's coming up for the Broncos. Your team, they roll against the Phillies in Philly, beat the undefeated Eagles, and not only that, their main rival in their division, the Chargers, lose Marion Hampton for a while, and I think both of the running backs they have left are, Michael Carter would start ahead of them probably. So they're in a tough spot.
Yeah, this is everything. People were ready to bury the Broncos. My friend from Fox Sports, Mr. Nick Wright, and I have a friendly rivalry with Broncos, and he's the biggest Chiefs lover. I'm Broncos. He thought the Broncos were so overrated coming into the year. We've got some friendly stuff on that, and just talks and conversations. And he tweeted out after week 2 that like I said, the Broncos hype preseason was the most unfounded hype you've ever seen. And
Eat your words.
Now
Yeah.
we're 3-2, baby, and looking good. The schedule really opens up for the Broncos. They've got some, the next 4 games I think are kind of cupcakes. Um, Obviously, you don't always win those cupcake games, so they have to take care of business. But like you said, the Chargers have lost both tackles. Joe Alt was massive loss for them. Marion Hampton, running back, that's probably a big loss as well. But losing your tackle, I mean, we saw that the offensive line was already suffering when they lost Slater, and now they lose Alt. The Commanders, who have a very average defensive line, managed to get pressure on Herbert throughout the day. They didn't really do much versus that team. So if they're struggling there, I think they're going to struggle against some other teams. Lucky for them, they have a soft landing spot this week with the Dolphins. But I think the Chargers are on their way down, and the Chiefs. I mean, basically, this Denver Chiefs game in Denver. If the Chiefs if the Chiefs don't win at least one of these games between the Lions and the Bills, if the Broncos win that game at home, I mean, they might open up a big enough lead that they can sustain, some late season runs by Mahomes. So, the next few weeks are really telling for this division, and my plus 350 on the Broncos is looking really, really nice right now. So pretty excited to have a bunch of those tickets in my possession.
Quick look in at the NFC West. The Rams, they lose at home to the injury-riddled 49ers. Speaking of injury-riddled, they no longer look like the best team in that division. Obviously, the Arizona Cardinals are the worst team in that division. Who do you got now, 49ers or Seahawks here? Who's the best team?
Give me the Rams still.
Really?
I think the Rams are the best team in that division. I think, that was... if it wasn't for the Arizona game, I mean, we'd be talking about the luck involved in that game. But I mean, all props to the Niners for showing up and battling with a completely depleted team. But I still like what the Rams have here. That's just kind of the Shanahan McVay situation. But I think the Rams are the best teams. I think they have the best defense. I think they have the best quarterback. I think they have the best receivers. They have the best running back. Well, they don't have the best running back. C-Mac's the best running back. But I just think they're a complete team. I do like McVay in every situation that he's coaching, except when it's against Shanahan. I still think the Rams are the team to beat. Obviously, the Niners, we talked about at the beginning of the season, have a very easy schedule, and they've been completely injury riddled. And, assuming you get back Purdy and Pearsall and Jennings, and then Ayuk should make a return at some point. If this team does get healthy, then, Kittle. I mean, if this team does get healthy with that schedule, and obviously them beating the Rams in LA gives them the tiebreaker edge there. They've also already beat Seattle in Seattle and Arizona. So, the Niners are the favorite for good reason because they have a 1-game lead and the tiebreakers. But, if the Rams play the Niners again, I mean, I'm taking the Rams, and I like what the Seahawks have. I did come around on them, but their defense just got completely exposed by the Bucs. And I know they had injuries. They had a lot of injuries, but that's just kind of an excuse because the Bucs had a lot of injuries too. The Bucs had more injuries than the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks because the Bucs were so injury riddled. So, to now throw it back and be like, oh, we lost because we were injured. I mean, that's just kind of revisionist history. I mean, yes, you did. Yes, you were injured, but I mean, whatever, you have to have some depth. I mean, Ibuka was as wide open as I've seen receiver all year. Shepard.
Library will be closing in 15 minutes. If you are borrowing material, you must be.
Shh. Is that the library? Are they closing? Anyway,
folks, the library is closing in 15 minutes for those that didn't hear it.
The fact that you're doing this pod from the Vancouver Public Library just shows the dedication you have for our fans. So,
and it shows that we're not making any money.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. How poor are you? You can't even afford internet service. We need a Patreon. We need a Patreon
just for Adam's internet service. The Bucs. So we talked about the Bucs Tampa Bay beating Seattle. Baker Mayfield, is he? I mean, you got to be considering him in the MVP discussion now. The guy's having a great year
for sure. I mean, he's definitely you're betting on him for MVP. You're just betting on the Bucks. I mean, the whole reason why I do think he's been the MVP up to this point, but I do feel like they've just run on the plus side of variance in all these one score games. But on top of it, the props to him for getting his team in position to win these variance spots without a complete roster. So, obviously they have a very soft schedule. They did Saints twice, 2 more times. They get the Panthers 2 more times. They have the Falcons at home. This team should win a lot of games. So, if you want to bet on the Bucks to do something and post a 14-3 or a 13-4 record, that might end up being the 1 or 2 seed in the NFC. Baker to win MVP is definitely a way to do it. Obviously, you can't really bet the Bucks to win the division now, minus 400. To win the NFC, then they have to do it in the playoffs. Basically, it's a regular season award, and they do have a soft schedule. So I wouldn't blame anybody for doing that. But yeah, okay. I mean, I don't think he'll get there, but I could definitely see that being a profitable ticket long term.
And then the last, quickly, I want to just say that the Patriots are no joke. They go and beat Buffalo in Buffalo. That team's rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we would have had a show last week. I called for the outright upset on my Survivor Sweat Saturday evening show. I said that I thought the Bills were going to lose that game. I had money line on the Patriots plus 375. And I don't normally, even when I do think there's upsets, a lot of times I just still don't bet it. I'll just bet spread. I bet spread and bet money line. I think that's the first plus 400 I've even put in the account this year.
Does it because really you think the Bills are just so reliant on Josh that's if it doesn't
it honestly just felt like a spot to me. I've been really impressed with what the Patriots have looked like the first few games, and that Steelers game was such fool's gold. For the Steelers, like I said at the time, I just got robbed on that victory. They just turned it over 5 times, and turnovers are part of football, and it's somewhat predictive based on sloppy just coaching or whatever. But I don't know. It just kind of felt like it was just kind of smoke and mirrors, and 2 weeks in a row, the Patriots have been my best bet, with Carolina the week before and Buffalo this week. So, yeah, I think the Patriots are for real. I think Drake May's an excellent quarterback. I think he's already ascended into the top 10 in the league. And, maybe, he's, always looking for who's that number 5, number 6 guy behind, the big 4. He's definitely in the conversation. He's definitely top 8 or 9 or whatnot, and he's moving his way up. So I'm excited to see what Drake has. They have 3 really soft games, the next 3 games versus the Saints, the Titans, and the Browns. If they can get through those games, I mean, you're going to have a Patriots team that already has a victory versus the Bills. We already know the Bills play the Chiefs. So if the Bills lose that game, Patriots, they could find themselves tied for that division. I'm still not going to bank on it. I mean, the Bills are still a wagon. And I don't think they have a lot of tough games left, but hey, the Patriots have put themselves in that discussion. I definitely think they're a playoff team, which means that, we're definitely, if the Patriots steal one of those wild card spots, we already know that, we've got the 2 teams from the West, the Broncos, Chargers, or Chiefs, whichever one doesn't win the division. Those 2 are looking at potential wild cards, and the Patriots. Then we've got whoever doesn't win the division between Jacksonville and Indy. And then we've got the Pittsburgh, Baltimore. There's not that many playoff spots up for grabs. And that's why, every one of these losses that the Chiefs have is taking on more and more importance, because, you might have to get to 10-7 and have to win, a tiebreaker to get into the playoffs. 9-8, they might get one 9-8 team might get the playoffs, but there's a real likelihood that a 9-8 team doesn't make the playoffs this year in the AFC, just because of how bad the bottom part of the AFC is. There's so many wins there that are just going to be foregone conclusions for the better teams.
All right, guys, the library's closing in 9 minutes. We got to rip through this. We've ran long too. We spent a lot of time in the Arizona game. Your sides that you post each week to at AU David B on Twitter. In the last 2 weeks, I believe the games you loved are now total for the season 6-4. The sides that you liked are 500, 11, 11, and 1. Let's quickly hit over to the regular Survivor, just the 1K buy-in, not just the 1K, but the 1K buy-in, not the Grandissimo. 75%, we've been talking all year about how many people are left in this thing, and now all of a sudden 75% of the field is gone. This was just a bloodbath. that, you think back to early weeks last year, to what happened then. And it just happened, in week 5 here. We lost a whole bunch of the field. How many, or no, I know you weren't really
we have 4 left.
You have 4 left. Okay.
We have 4 left. So we're still in there. And yeah, I mean, we don't have any Baltimore left on any of them, but actually I think we do. Actually, I think I have 2 entries that have Baltimore left.
Oh, wow.
All my entries have Philly left. I think a couple of them have Buffalo left. So the entries that we have are kind of good.
Okay.
So yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. There's still 5,000 people left, but I'm not completely dead yet. So
yeah, you got 4 left.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going this week. It's a little early, but yeah, we're excited to find out that we're releasing this one. We're doing this one a little bit early. I'm heading to Auburn, Alabama, my alma mater, to watch Auburn, Georgia. I have some good friends that are Georgia alum, and all my friends from Auburn, and we're doing a whole weekend there. So that's why this is coming out early, and
Nice.
I'll put my Survivor stuff out on Saturday or Sunday, and my picks out on Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday. So you'll be able to follow those.
We'll follow some Grandissimo stuff too. I know you're not in it anymore, but 16 left in the season, so we want to keep an eye on that. It's obviously historic, the very first one, and I'm sure it'll grow and grow over the years as we move. And then the million, the sides picking. You have a team at 14 and 11, one at 13 and 12, 2 at 12 and 13, on 11 and 14, and then 3 that are 9 and 16 that I'm sure you're taking shots with now. I mean, the
14-11 one's not completely dead. It's not great, but we were set up this week. I thought I really liked our sides, but somehow we went 2 and 3. So somehow the Broncos didn't make the main card, which is kind of annoying. They always seem to make the main card. So we ended up another gut blow. We put the Cardinals on instead of the Broncos, which is even more annoying. So. Anyway.
And then each week we've been tracking the overall percentage of the Circa Millions picks, the sides picks. We've gone week 1, 39%, week 2, 43, week 3, 45, week 4, 49, and we finally broke 50% in week 5. So steady movement up there, which is straight up, which is interesting, that we've ascended that way. In this week's segment, Are You Smarter Than an NFL head coach? We talked already about that Arizona game. There's another game that I'm not going to go into. It was Kevin Stefanski, the game in London, head coach of the Cleveland Browns playing the Vikings. It just an inexcusable use of timeouts at the end of the game for him. And again, I don't know how these guys still have jobs. It's beyond me. But quickly, looking forward to week 6, we've got Seattle at Jacksonville. That's going to be, obviously some of these games are not the best teams in the league, but I just thought they were interesting matchups. Seattle at Jacksonville favored 1.5. I'll run these through, and then if there's one or two here you think you want to talk about, David, let me know. The Rams -7.5 at Ravens. We talked about that already. The Lions at the Chiefs. Chiefs -2.5 against the Lions. And Buffalo -3.5 at Atlanta, who's off a bye. So a couple interesting games there that we're looking forward to. No undefeated teams left in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one that everybody cares about is that Chiefs Lions game, and where's the Chiefs hater going to come in, and I'm going to be true to the brand. I mean, this line makes no sense to me. I understand the Chiefs looked good. I understand this is a desperation spot for Mahomes. This is a championship caliber team with championship pedigree, but the line was opened at 1, and now it's been bet up to 2.5 in favor of the Chiefs. The Chiefs have I would say Kansas City has a 2 to 2.5 point home field advantage. So you're basically telling me these two teams on neutral are dead even, and I'm just not buying that. I was at the game a couple years ago when it was opening Thursday, and the Lions were 5-point underdogs, and Dan Campbell went in there with a team that hadn't won anything. We're just kind of starting out, and they went in there and they won that football game. And I think we're going to see a repeat of that again. They just went into Baltimore when Baltimore was not as broken as they are now. I think Detroit kind of broke them, to be honest. So. Yeah, I think Detroit's the better team in this spot, and they're getting points. Sign me up. I'll just keep losing money with the Chiefs if that's just what happens. But I've taken a couple big stands against the Chiefs, and I've been right more than I've been wrong lately. Career wise, no, but I think Detroit goes in there and takes care of business. Enough of this bullshit about Goff can't go in there and win on the road. He went into Baltimore and beat Lamar Jackson. And this team's a good team. And I don't think it's all there. Even with Worthy, like there still lacks some weapons.
It's going to get interesting down to the wire. We're talking about the playoffs and what you would need. But with all these teams bunching up and no undefeated teams, nobody running away with too much, there's going to be some interesting sort of situations that come up later in the year. Looking forward to some of that. Thanks again for everybody for their patience with me here at the library here in Vancouver. I'm going to try and get it worked out for next week. Thanks to you guys for getting together and enjoy your trip back to Auburn, David, and enjoy the football games.
Thanks for finding some free internet in Canada, and thank you to everybody who listened, subscribe, write reviews, do stuff that make us want to come on here and continue to do it. I'm glad that people like it and missed us when we were gone, so makes me want to do more.
The numbers are steadily climbing. So there's more and more people joining on every week, and we appreciate that.
Awesome. All right, everybody, have a good week.
All right, thanks.
Bye.